Greetings, sisters and brothers. Welcome back to another segment of the J4R vlog. In today's segment, we're going to take a look at U.S. immigration law and policy in light of the scriptural teachings that we reflected upon in the past three segments. As you'll recall, we summed up biblical teaching on immigration through the concept of migration as grace, and the idea that if you look at scripture from the first pages of Revelation on throughout the New Testament, you find this notion of migration as grace, and the idea that through the migration process, through immigrants, God often provides his grace to the host countries that are fortunate enough to receive immigrants. When we look at contemporary U.S. immigration law and policy, unfortunately what we find is that there is a lack of recognition of the grace, the tremendous grace that immigrants offer, provide, supply to the United States. These contributions, they come in the form of culture and economics and other ways, but we're going to focus upon the economic contributions of immigrants in the next few minutes. Undocumented immigrants provide vital labor in areas like construction, agriculture, the service sector, domestic work, the industry that produces clothing. So if you have a wall, if you have a ceiling, if you have a roof, if you eat chicken or beef, or you eat fruits and vegetables, or you buy clothing from the local mall, it's very likely that in many of those intersections of your life, I have benefited from the inexpensive labor of undocumented immigrants. Let me give you some larger statistics. You have roughly 11.5 million undocumented immigrants in the United States. These undocumented immigrants contribute roughly $400 billion a year to the U.S. gross domestic product. 11.5 million individuals and families contributing over $428 billion a year to the U.S. gross domestic product. Now, given those numbers, guess how many unskilled worker visas the U.S. granted to every country in the world in 2010? I'll give you a second to think about that. The U.S. gave 4,762 unskilled labor visas for every country in the world in 2010. So let me replay this mathematics of injustice. 11.5 million undocumented immigrants contributing $428 billion a year to the U.S. gross domestic product, playing vital roles in agriculture, service sector, domestic work, the clothing industry, and so on and so on. But in paper, the U.S. government said, oh, we're not lacking any unskilled laborers. We were lacking, in fact, in 2010, we were lacking less than 5,000. And so undocumented immigrants get exploited deeply by this system. Their labor and contributions are exploited, again, to the tune of hundreds of billions of dollars a year, but those contributions are not valued, not recognized by a concomitant number of unskilled worker visas and visas to unite families. And that's biblical exploitation. It's using someone for their labor without recognizing their humanity, without recognizing that they are made in the image of God, and you cannot just use them as if they were robots. I think sometimes that's what I think people want in the United States, if they could have their way. They want robots to do their work. They don't want Latino immigrants, Asian immigrants to come as human beings and make their contributions, or many contributions, and to recognize their full humanity. And unfortunately, as we'll look at in the next vlog next week, we'll look at the history of that. And we'll find that that pattern is all too common. The recruitment of cheap immigrant labor, and then scapegoating in times of economic crisis, and the lack of full, compassionate immigrant integration in the United States. So tune in for that. Thank you very much.